All right, so welcome everyone to another edition of Nibiru Twitter Space. Today we will be answering your questions about our recent development updates, the Taisanai progress, and also any other topic that may pique your interest. So before we dive in, I think we should do a quick round of self-introduction of our speakers. Unique, would you like to begin?
Hello. Yeah, so I'm one of the main developers for Nibiru. Previously worked at Sommelier, another Cosmos protocol, and background was primarily in ML before that. And yeah,
Kevin?
Hey everybody, my name is Kevin. I'm a core engineer on the Nibiru chain. Been a software engineer for over 8 years, and before this, I was working at Google.
Hey guys, I do BD at the team. Used to work in growth equity venture capital for GIC covering crypto and fintech. Then I worked in investment banking at JP Morgan, and I worked at Credit Suisse before that. Great to meet.
Awesome, thank you guys. Unique and Kevin are two of our co-founders, and Jonathan is our head of business development. I'm your host today. My name is Jessie, and I'm the marketing lead here at Nibiru. So, we'll start by answering some pre-selected questions from our community. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. If at any point during the AMA you also have something to ask, you can do so by commenting under this tweet, and we'll be able to review your questions live and tackle them as well. Okay, so the first questions come from our Discord member, Negative Space. He asked, what moved you or motivated you to bring this project to life and give it the name of Nibiru-chan? Who wants to take this one?
sure, I can go. So it's basically Nibiru is an attempt at simplifying user experience by streamlining multiple apps together, kind of similar to a centralized exchange, except decentralizing each application. And the name is basically inspired by the Nibiru from like Babylonian mythology. And I think we particularly liked the interpretation of Nibiru as a gateway between like the divine plane and the mortal plane. So we're kind of sticking to that, but it has a bunch of cool Planet X lore too. So we thought it was a fun name.
Yeah, so that's fascinating. We actually, borrowed the name from a very ancient Babylonian mythology. And at the moment, we're also actually working on a brand story in talks with artists, developing brand story and community art. So hopefully we'll be able to share something with all of you very soon. The second question from user Beyond Wall. Is there a future possibility that Nibiru will try to incorporate other blockchains? This will bring more users into the Cosmos and help the ecosystem thrive. Do we have plans like that?
Yeah, I can speak to this one. So, to bring more users in the Cosmos, absolutely. We're talking to bridgers like Axeler and Multichain to access users and liquidity from other ecosystems and other blockchains. There's also the native IBC bridges to other Cosmos chains. So that will allow us to kind of integrate with the existing network of Cosmos chains. And even outside of that, we're also talking to fiat on-ramps, like Kato, for example, to even onboard more users and improve the user experience of accessing liquidity on Nibiru.
Cool. So we're working on a bigger vision other than just Cosmo. Next one, can you share some of the key milestones that Nibiru has achieved so far?
Yeah, if you've been following along since early February, you would have seen that our community has grown significantly. So I think we had closer to 6,000 Twitter followers then. Now we're at around 70,000. Our Discord's around 100,000. As of late April, we had around over 70,000 validators, over 20,000 smart contracts deployed, over 1 million transactions, like actual user actions that occurred, and then around 320,000 actual users on our incentivized testnet. I think from our trader database, so we have just a list of emails. I think we have 55,000 folks. Those would be the main milestones to sort of point to for stats. But you can also check out our page, nibiru.fi/stats, that has a couple more on our ITN.
I think it's safe to say the team is really pleased with the progress and results we made so far, and thanks to all of you. We're going to keep working on it. And to that point, to that question, another user asks, the first phase of Nibiru incentivized testnet saw impressive growth. How does the team manage such rapid community expansion and ensure effective communication and engagement among such a large and diverse user base?
Yeah.
Kevin, do you want to take this off?
Yeah, I can speak a bit to this. So we have 3 initiatives right now. We have the ambassador program, which we are able to promote people from our Discord member base to help with like reporting spam and moderation. We have really great ambassadors. Some of them are super technical and point out some technical guidance and tips for us to follow. So great, like thank you so much to our ambassadors. We're also hiring community moderators in many different time zones in many different countries, so we can get coverage for the different language-specific Discord channels that we have. Yeah, so if you are interested in being a community moderator and you want to start like a language community, please reach out to Jesse. The third thing we're doing is we're growing our engineering team. So we're raising a Series A later this year, and with that influx of capital, we will be able to grow our engineering team to meet the increased product demands, as well as the bugs reported to our bugs@nibiru.fi email address. So we're looking at those bugs right now. We just hired a really senior front-end engineer who just started this week, and he is going through those bug reports one by one and trying to fix them. So I think in the next month or so, you'll see like a lot of improvements to the web app. And yeah, we're still growing our community moderation ambassador program.
Yeah, to Kevin's point as well, we're like very early in stage, so I think we're very careful not to spread ourselves too thin, and that's why at the moment we're concentrating like our resources and trying to establish 1 to 2 major communication channels, being Discord and Twitter. We will probably expand to Telegram and Reddit in the future, but at the moment we try to foster the community in an environment where we can just communicate with maximum efficiency. Also, with scaling, there come security risks. We have seen scammers and bots trying to destroy or take over our platforms. So we spend quite a amount of time, our engineers making sure that, for example, verification is properly set up. We're managing permissions and access so that we can basically so we can make sure that the security of the platform is in place, and we're also trying to strike a balance between providing a smooth onboarding process for the users, but also maintain the security aspect as well. All right, let's move on to the next question. The next question is about Nibiru's trading innovations, especially the ones being rolled out in phase 3 of the incentivized testnet, such as automated liquidation protocol, ALP for short, and how they will enhance the platform's trading capacities compared to existing DEX.
Yeah. So we have 3 main innovations we're bringing to market. I think the first you're probably most familiar with already is the decentralized Oracle solution. So that rather than using a centralized Oracle, which the price feed can get attacked and is a common vector that purpose protocols get attacked for, you can sort of share that load by allowing the validators to chip in on prices. So you also can provide incentives to validators, and it better aligns the incentives between both the validators and traders on the platform. So the other innovation, the automated liquidation protocol, essentially every block the Nibiru blockchain can automatically identify and liquidate each underwater position. So I guess that's hard to illustrate, but this is uniquely enabled because Nibiru runs its own blockchain. So I think a good example is, let's say we had a pool and you have folks coming in, and normal AMM-based protocols will just put people in the pool and see if they drown. So they're very reactive in the liquidation process. What we can do is, because we can index the data on the blockchain, we can sort of measure people's height as they walk into the room. And this allows you to know if someone's shorter, they have a higher risk of actually drowning. So you can have more pinpoint accuracy when there's actual drowning occurring. What does this mean, right? So if there's less liquidations, this means there's less price volatility, which can then wipe out other positions and just leads to inefficient pricing. So it's more safe. It's also more capital efficient because a lot of AMM-based protocols will have a keeper network, an external keeper network that they have to pay of bots. So because it's done in-house, we don't have to do that. So we save a bit of money from the liquidation fee. Additionally, because this external keeper bot network will have to submit transactions, usually you have this problem, which is like similar in ETH, where a bunch of people have to bid up the gas price, and then transactions might actually go through. Because we do this in-house, you don't have that same problem of people bidding up transactions, right? So it makes it a bit more efficient from a network perspective. And it generally creates a more forgiving environment. So that's innovation 2. Innovation 1 was the decentralized Oracle solution. Innovation 2 was the ALP, the automated liquidation protocol. The third innovation is dynamic optimizations. So a common problem within AMM burps protocols is an issue called long-short skew, where there's a price divergence between the terminal and index price. If you can allow for more dynamic repegging and liquidity depth, you can essentially have price alignment between the terminal and index price, which fixes that long-short skew problem, which is a persistent problem within the industry. So that's the short story. We're really excited about this. It's a pretty big innovation. That being said, both innovation 2 and 3, ALP and dynamic optimizations, is a future feature. So, ALP won't start until ITN 3.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's really well explained. Next question is from community member Monster Logic. He asks, as Nibiru progresses toward the NIT incentivized testnet phase 3, the focus on liquidity, applications, and trading is paramount. How will Nibiru ensure the security and integrity of the platform during this phase, given the critical role that liquidity and trading play in the cryptocurrency market?
Yeah, I can speak to this. So on the operations side, we did a penetration test with a security firm called Salus. They deemed us low risk. So that's good. There are just a couple of minor things that we need to put onto a private network, but besides that, everything on our infra is pretty much rock solid. We're actually undergoing a smart contract audit with Celic right now. They started on Monday, and they've already like gave us some guidance on things that we can improve. That will last for 3 weeks. They're going application by application. So they are looking at our decentralized Oracle solution right now, and they will be looking at the perps application code very soon. Following that, it will be the spot AMM and the stablecoin later down the road. So those are the two audits that we're doing, like penetration test and smart contract code audit, and then we will deploy NIT phase 3 using the audited code. So that means that the trading competition that we're going to have later down the road will be pretty much the same as the mainnet code that we're going to be deploying later this year.
Gotcha. Yeah. So our auditing with Zalik has officially started as of 3 days ago on the 15th, and it's gonna approximately take about 3 weeks. So our tech team takes security as a priority. All right. And then just a reminder to everybody who just joined the AMA, if you also want to have your questions answered, you can just comment on this tweet, under this tweet. So tap on the comment icon on your phone and just leave your questions there, and we'll be able to review. And the next question is from Silent. I saw Silent is actually also on the call. Silent is one of our outstanding ambassadors, so a shout out to Silent. Silent's question is, testnet phase 3 is about liquidation application perps and spot. Will we be able to run the liquidation bot?
Yep. So the chain starts out, so the ALP that Jonathan described is like a future feature rollout. Initially, that there's a message called multi-liquidate where you can specify like multiple addresses in the same message and liquidate them in a batch. So people can run liquidation bots at first.
Got it. That's a quick and easy answer. Thanks for that. And the next one is also from our ambassador, Laptaling, who is also on the call. So another shout out to Laptaling. He asked a question on the security. How does the team plan to deal with the testnet participants who indulge in Siblet attacks?
Yeah, so there's two kinds of Sybil attacks on testnet. The first one is people abusing the faucet to receive more funds, NIBI tokens and our stablecoin NUSD, and using them to basically hold control of the active validator set. So I think for the following ITNs, we will be decreasing, because the focus is on the liquidity applications, basically primarily the perps exchange. We'll be lowering the amount of NIBI tokens and increasing the amount of stablecoin that you can receive from the faucet in order to incentivize people to use the trading applications. We do IP blacklisting on the faucet, and we do have logs of every single request made to the faucet, so we can tell which IP addresses and which NIBI addresses are abusing the faucet, and we do take a note of that, especially when we're considering validator delegations for mainnet. The other Sybil attack is people trying to perform the ITN tasks multiple times in order to claim rewards. And to prevent against that kind of Sybil attack, and for those of you who don't know what a Sybil attack is, it means when people use multiple identities in the digital world to basically claim rewards multiple times or act in some fraudulent manner. So Sybil attack basically means a person just impersonating multiple people. So to prevent against the type of attack where people are trying to claim ITN rewards multiple times by performing multiple tasks, we are integrating with KYC providers. So even if a person does, create multiple NIBI addresses and performs all the ITN tasks and gets multiple points, they have to provide some sort of documentation, some sort of identification card in order to claim the rewards. So yeah, they can only claim it once, essentially. And that's how we're protecting the Sybil attacks for the ITN rewards.
I saw Omar is requesting to speak, so maybe let's give him a shot. I'm inviting you to speak. All right, Omar, can you try speaking now? You can ask your questions here. That's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Right. My question is the last tax that was dropped in the testnet, that of NFT. Most of us have been having problem minting the NFT. Is there any progress so far? I've been following your social medias, and last time they said they've resolved some of them, but we're still having problem minting the NFT. So what is the progress? Thank you. Hope you get my question.
We haven't started an NFT program, so that I think you're seeing a scam.
No, I mean your last testnet tax. I think there's a part you mint certain NFT, right? That's what I mean. I'm having problem minting it. You get my question?
We don't have an NFT module or smart contract in our chain. Yeah, it might be a different project. We don't have an NFT platform or anything like that in our chain right now.
Yeah, there was never part of the NFT is never part of the testnet tasks. So if you saw that, maybe it's a scam project, because we have been running only phase 1 and 2, and none of the task is about NFT or minting. All right, we're gonna continue with the questions and take another one right after this. Moving on. So this is from our community member Hugos. And he asks, can you discuss any ongoing partnerships or collaborations that Nibiru has established? How do these partnerships contribute to the overall ecosystem growth, adoption, and the validation of the network's capabilities?
Yeah, so Nibiru's strength so far has been, we've heard from multiple people, is the quality of its engineering team. So, for example, the developer documentation, including tools and tutorials. As a result, the community has largely been developer focused. So you can see that evidenced with a lot of the validators which are running, which we have over 70,000. You can see the smart contracts deployed, which we have over 20,000. So continuing with this trend, we'll look to have a seamless developer onboarding experience. So we are having conversations at the moment with technology partners, market makers, validators, bridges, ecosystem partners, marketing firms, and just trying to make sure that we're looking for the right person, for the right people that we're partnered with. But we do have an upcoming grants program we're looking to launch. So we're looking to primarily take advantage of the smart contract and developer heavy community that sort of differentiates Nibiru. So we're excited to share that with you when that comes up. And we're definitely looking forward to any applications or, yeah.
Understood. Let's take another live question from our listeners. This is from Chulo ZK. He left a question under the comment section. He asks, can you tell us more about Nibiru Chain Foundation delegation program? And what criteria do you use to select those to participate? How can I participate?
Yeah, I can start with this. So there are two dimensions that we evaluate validators on. There are ecosystem and community involvements, and then there are technical contributions. I'll start with the technical ones. So we like it when validators run nodes, specifically when they provide RPC endpoints for users to use. Because we do host our own RPC endpoints, but we don't want to host all of them. Because primarily because it's centralized, right? And we don't want people to just take our word for it. We want people to host their own RPC nodes because it's a decentralized project. And also to provide snapshots for newcomers to the network to sync up their nodes. I think right now with our ITN one, we're at almost 3 million blocks, and it takes many days to sync if you don't have a snapshot. So yeah, that's one thing that validators can do. Running IBC relayers for IBC bridges between us and other Cosmos chains. Running block explorers. This is super important. Yeah, the more explorers there are, I think the better, because people can just verify that their transactions went through. You can also contribute code or bug fixes to our open source repositories, and we also look at the uptime and slash rate of the validators when we make a delegation to them. Jonathan, do you want to speak more on the ecosystem side?
So we do have this actually outlined in blog 11. So, but I'll read it out to make it a bit more simple. So 2 categories here: community education. Starting off the community, you can participate in governance. So any governance proposal we put up, you can vote. For business development, you can help get engaged with the team, make investor introductions, partnership facilitations, any sort of strategic recommendations that we eventually sort of execute. Those will be viewed favorably. So paper-wise, design recommendations, technical reviews, and then social media, of course, right? So participation in Discord, TikTok, Telegram, Twitter, YouTube, the whole jazz. Education-wise, we have content. So we've already seen a lot of folks going out there writing out articles, Twitter threads, blogs. You got the meme contest that we've had. If you include us in a newsletter, podcasts, videos. In the same vein, you got the guides, so the cheat sheets of the world, and then any support. So onboarding help, teaching beginners, all those activities will be helpful for the ecosystem.
Awesome. I saw lots of people are showing interest in speaking on the stage. We will go to one of you after the next question, but also I would encourage you to leave your questions in the comment before you speak. Okay. Thanks for your collaboration. The next question is from another community member. Again, this is from our very own Silent. He asks NUSD. This is about question about our stablecoin. NUSD is a partially collateralized stablecoin. Can we know more about the mechanisms of NUSD? So there's a correction that we are actually moving NUSD to fully collateralized, but I'll let Unique speak on that one.
Yeah, so the just like you mentioned in the question, so the original design of NUSD was essentially like a similar, like almost like a fork of Frax v1, but implemented in the Cosmos SDK with like slight modifications, where NIBI would act as like FXS and NUSD as Frax. So this would mean that you would mint in the same pattern of like a dollar equals a dollar, except like split it between based on the collateral ratio. Since that initial setup, when we wrote that module, we actually decided to move in the direction of doing a fully collateralized setup. So if we go with that initial module, it would just be at 100% CR. But we actually are planning likely to roll out a different design, which is just to use like kind of remove the algo aspect entirely, where it's just always fully collateralized. And in that way, it would make it easier to support more like different types of collateral for the perps, so that it wouldn't matter if someone's using like say Noble USDC versus Axelar versus even Tether. So we have like a pretty detailed spec coming out on that pretty soon. So yeah.
Okay, great news. Let's invite another speaker to the stage. Jack, you're up. Fire away.
I don't think he was added as a speaker yet. Oh, there he is. Cool. Hey, Jack.
Jack, you got to
Hello.
unmute. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Ask your question.
Yeah. My question is, what are the potential limitation or risk associated with using decentralization oracles or for accurate asset pricing? How does Nemuru mitigate these risks to ensure the reliability of price feeds?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about this. So decentralized oracles, there's pros and cons. The pro is, of course, no single party controls the price feed of an asset. The downside of that is it is a little bit slower to update. So, for example, on our blockchain, we use vote periods. In every vote period, validators have to vote on prices. It's very similar to proof of stake Tendermint consensus, where greater than 2/3 is required. But our vote periods are 10 blocks long. So if you take like our average block time of around 1.5 or 2 seconds, that means that Oracle prices update every 15 to 20 seconds, which isn't a big deal because we do use a TWAP on the index price when we do our funding rate calculations for the perps exchange. So our TWAP is like the past 15 minutes. So a 10 to 15 second delay is not that big of a deal unless there's like a huge market anomaly, a Six Sigma event. But even then, the TWAP, we can increase it even further back to kind of mitigate those types of flash crashes. The other things to look out for are that because it's a decentralized oracle, we need multiple validators to vote and participate. And how we do that is economically, we tie their validator rewards to how often they vote on for Oracle prices. So when a validator misses a vote period, they accrue like misses, and after a certain number of misses, they get slashed. And when they get slashed, they get jailed. So that's something validators obviously do not want to have happen to them. And we also require, we'll also look at, for our delegation policy, we'll also see which validators are posting prices. They're all logged on chain, and we do have a database of who's been posting prices. So yeah, those are the economic incentives that we have. And one positive economic incentive is that because the Oracle prices power so much of the perps exchange, it's basically crucial for markets to exist. We have a bit of kickback from the perps trading fees to the oracles. So if you do vote, if you're a validator and you do vote for Oracle prices, you get some amount of the fees. If you don't vote, you might get slashed. So we rely on those two positive and negative economic incentives to ensure that there's always a decentralized Oracle feed. And of course, we're running our own validators for the testnet, so we obviously are posting prices every single vote period, not every single block, but every single vote period. Does that answer your question?
Oh, he's already off stage, but yeah, I think it's
okay.
he answers the question. For those who are interested in Oracle module, we actually have a blog piece on that, really in-depth piece, explain everything in detail. So go to nibiru.fi/blogs, or just go to our homepage and click on the blog section, and you can read about the article on Oracle module. All right. So many people are asking to speak on stage. We're so excited. So let's take more live questions. Next one, let's see, would be MVP. All right. We're putting you onto the stage. Shoot.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
Yes. So my question would be, I guess, for builders that are outside the community looking in and being interested in potentially building on Nibiru. Other than DeFi, because a lot of the work that's already been done is focused on DeFi, what are some areas that builders might be able to get excited about building on Nibiru themselves?
Yeah, I think integrating with I guess like a built-in suite of having access to like leverage trading and the stablecoin, and essentially just we do want to leverage Cosmosm pretty heavily. So we don't have a direct partnership for cross contract stuff, or excuse me, cross chain stuff with Cosmosm just yet, but a lot of other chains are interested in that. So I think that's like in a sense kind of a part of our thesis is that you you have to make applications that excite people and attract a lot of usage first, and then it will be easier to build an ecosystem on top of those core applications, rather than if there's like a lot of like almost like there's too many apps and it's hard to tell like which ones are safe, or they don't seem to have a lot of support. But yeah.
I think there's also some general tooling that crypto ecosystems are missing. Outside of DeFi, like for example, there's not really a good interface for multi-sig supports in Cosmos that I've seen, at least. So yeah, having like a sort of like a Gnosis safe equivalent in Cosmosm would help users just manage their assets in a more secure way, like DAOs manage their assets, and those assets could be you know tokens, it could be NFTs, it could be GameFi items. Yeah, just like general tooling to make the user experience even better than it is right now. Yeah, that would be one thing. Another thing would be like similar to like what Magna is doing, but with regards to crypto custody assets. So like when it comes to like ICOs or IDOs, just giving having like some custody solution for users in a decentralized way. A lot of people use services like Fireblocks to kind of custody their assets. But if there's like a smart contract solution that doesn't have that custodial risk and is able to lock up tokens and vest them over time. I know Cosmos SDK has that vesting account feature in the auth module, but it's not it kind of basic and it hasn't seen a lot of development over the past over the recent history. And those vesting accounts are kind of difficult to set up in the sense that post Genesis they're pretty much you can't create them just like easily. So just having like a smart contract way of doing it would be really cool.
Yeah. So within the grants program that we launch, we'll have a couple categories. First of which will be, the DeFi ones that fit in nicely with our current suite. If you think of like vaults, borrowing, lending options, index, liquid staking, for example. And then there's the infrastructure-oriented things that I think Kevin and Unique spoke about more in developer tooling. But that's a great question for non-DeFi. That'll be an area that we'll consider as well. But we'll need to spend more time on that. But thanks for the question.
Awesome. Does that answer your question, MVP?
Yes, very much so. Thank you all for the answers.
Thank you for this question. All right, we're gonna move you off stage. All right, 1 second. And okay, let's move on to the next question from another community member, Josh Han. He asks, what is the purpose of the NIBI token? Is NIBI token deflationary or inflationary? Do you burn NIBI, and can we earn the NIBI other than buying them?
Yeah, so it's inflationary. If you take a look at our docs and go to the Learn More section at the bottom, you can see the actual graph that has our release schedule. Basically, if you stake NIBI, you'll earn a percentage of overall revenues, including, part of the core tap suite, including trading, liquidation revenues, any subscription revenues. As to what is the purpose of the NIBI token, I think in a good example is to look at why do you kind of need a two token system with NIBI and NUSD. I think if you rebuild a similar product suite within the EVM ecosystem, so you got ETH as the gas token, you got GMX GLP if you want to do perps that sit on Arbitrum, you've got the Arbitrum token itself if you want to bridge over, you've got the Uni token for spot AMM, you got Curve Convex for the stable swap, Frax and FXS for the stable coin. They've got your own Oracle solutions for Pyth. And that's just an example of just a couple solutions. But the idea is, the interface, too many tokens. The purpose of the NIBI token kind of here is just to, we sort of mentioned this in prior AMAs, but simplicity, user experience, making it easier for onboarding of future users. We don't have a burn mechanism, but this can be included later based on community interest or proposal. And we have finally the question regarding how do you earn NIBI tokens other than buying them. 60% of our tokenomics is set aside for the community, which in part will be provided towards community incentives. So hopefully that answers it.
To add to that question, so we have talked about NUSD, our stablecoin. We'll also talk about our NIBI token. Another question from a community member, PAC, is about how does this two token economic model contribute to the overall stability and functionality of the platform?
Yeah, I think this is a bit similar to the prior question, but the idea is you want to combine, have a simpler user interface, less fragmented governance, more streamlined user experience. Essentially, the gas and core DApp tokens are all in one. So that explains the two token economic model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Got you. Do I still see Sunny requesting to speak? Sunny, if you're here, you can go on stage next. For now, we're gonna tackle more questions from the community, then we'll go back to the stage. Next one would be also from Lab Telling. So this is a question on marketing. He asks, marketing is the basis of the price of the token. Is the team planning aggressive marketing before listing the token? All right, so I can take this one. I wouldn't say marketing is the basis of the price of the token, right? We have the whole tokenomics, and we're working with the market makers as well. But I do agree that marketing play a very vital role in promoting the token price. So at the moment, we're in talks with major tier 1 and tier 2 centralized exchanges, and the team is formulating the best strategy for token listing. Among all the exchange offerings, they come with aggressive marketing, not just from our side, but also from the exchange side to give us more exposure from their community and their users. So we're definitely working on that. We're also thinking about listing NIBI token on various launch pads and DEX as well, apart from the centralized exchange listing. Examples also being, listing the token on different ranking sites such as CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. Definitely comes with airdrops as well. There will also be joint partnership promotions with the ecosystem projects. Another thing we're thinking about doing is expanding more into the international markets. And based on our user geolocation and profile at the moment, I would say a good amount of people are based in Asia and East and West Europe. So we will penetrate those markets by working with influencers and local agencies for the localization efforts. So I hope that answers your question. Moving on. How about we try another speaker here? Let's put let's put Charles on stage here. One moment. Charles, when you're connected, ask your question. Charles, you can now unmute and ask away.
Yeah, GMG and the Bureau Chain. I've always been wanting to, speak to the team directly, and it's always going to be a question about community. Like, of course, you're on your test net and all, but like, are there like more campaigns to bring more people into the community? And of course, they are going to be like not necessarily incentivized, but at the end of the day, like, you know, have some benefits, right? So that would be like one question. And the second question I would like to ask is it's quite personal. So I'd like to ask like what can the community do to be more integrated with the project, because I've been like watching the video for a while now, and I've been looking for some ways to support. Not like I don't know what to do in terms of supporting, but like I need to get like more like a detailed, you know, I wouldn't say guide, but like I would like to know like how would I, get to support the team, so I just don't do things amiss, right? So that's like my two questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. It's a question for marketing, but also for the whole team as well. So I can take the first shot at that. In terms of how to engage with our community or the platform, right now we're running testnet, so you can go check out our testnet tasks. Even if you're not a technical person, we have tutorials in place, so you can just follow step-by-step guide to participate in the testnet. In terms of marketing campaigns and community, Kevin previously mentioned that we have ambassador program, so I'd like to iterate on that one. We have 3 tracks for ambassador program, one being content creation, meaning you can create, let's say, for example, even just like memes, right, or infographics, social posters, blogs, articles. That's all considered part of content creation. If you are more of a community person, then you just join our Discord group, and being there helping us answer the questions, interact, engage the community. So that's the community track. And the third one is for people, for developers, right? So you can participate in the bounty program. You can give us a feedback on testnet. You can become a validator. So we offer three different tracks to accommodate people with different skill sets. In terms of other campaigns, there will be definitely more coming. The most recent one is Discord referral contest we just finished. We saw dozens of participants overall brought us like thousands, more than 8,000 referrals in total. So every marketing campaign we run, we have been seeing positive results so far, and that shows we have a really engaging and proactive community. So that would be my take to your question. Any other team members want to address this one as well?
I would add feedback, right? So we do listen a lot to the community feedback and giving any insights as to, what confuses you or what we need to describe better, what features you find like that you want to see the most or that you like the most from other applications, and also just criticism on what we're, things that we're doing wrong and what we can improve upon. That's an extremely helpful way to contribute, and it does help shape our future roadmap.
Yeah. So I'll be a bit blunt with you. If we're not doing our fucking job, let us know. Hold us to a high standard. If we're not meeting your standards, be loud. Complain. Tell us. We're trying to build the best user experience in DeFi. And if we're not meeting the expectation, then we're failing at our job, and we should be unemployed. So just fucking let us know. Twitter, Discord, bugs@nebrew.fi. Yeah, any channel you can communicate. Just like tag us on Twitter or be loud any way you can. Just fucking let us know.
I hope you're feeling the energy. The team here takes feedback pretty seriously. To add on to that, if you have feedback, we have actually 2 channels on our Discord. One is called Feedback. It's a discussion channel. So you can just shoot your questions right away there and tag us. We have admins, we have moderators, we have ambassadors. Tag any of us, and that they will, bring the question to the team's attention. Another one is a testnet forum. So this is once more specific for the testnet. Any feedback related to testnet, shoot your questions there as well. Okay, how about we try Nancy? I want to hear some, female perspective here. Nancy, I'm inviting you to the stage. Takes a second to connect. All right, you're on. You gotta unmute your mic first, Nancy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, my question is, what are your top priorities towards the end of 2022 and 2023? Can you share some plans for our next year? Which part of the project are you most focused on right now? This is my question.
All right, thank you for that.
Yeah,
Who wants to take this one? Yeah.
I can answer this. Just to give you a high level overview of our engineering and product roadmap. We're primarily focused on the perps exchange right now. That's currently done and being audited by Zelic. Following that, we'll be focusing on IBC connections to other chains, integrating with KYC providers. We'll be launching this year. So KYC is basically for the ITN rewards to be able to give to people. That will also be deployed in smart contracts. Following that, once after we launch, we're doing we're not launching with a big bang. We're going to be doing iterative improvements to the chain. So we're going to be adding other applications as we go on. So right after launch, we'll be focusing on stablecoin on ramps. I talked about on ramps earlier, for example, Kato. There's also incentives for the perps, so incentivizing users to trade perps. That'll be initially right out the gate. After that, it will be stablecoin and the spot AMM. Those are the other liquidity applications that we'll be focused on. And then after that, it'll be the cool stuff like the dynamic optimizations and the automatic liquidation protocol (ALP). And then around that time, that's probably going to be like end of this year, early next year. And then after that, it will be the ecosystem growth. So we're building the financial primitives, but we also want to help other teams build on top of those financial primitives. So we'll be looking a lot more into onboarding Cosmos developers and helping them grow their projects and giving them grants and maybe introducing them to some of the investors that invested in us as well. So yeah, does that answer your question, Nancy, or is there anything that you would like me to go more in detail?
Nancy, does that answer your question? You can speak now.
Okay, I'll assume from those claps and hearts that I did a decent job and not a terrible job of answering your question.
Great job. All right. Let's try another one. How about Kim Shai? Kim, you're up. All right, still connecting. All right, if it's still connecting, let's try another one. And when you're connected, we'll go back to you, Kim. The next one is from another community member, Pandaluca. So he asks, is there any valuable insights you can share into user behavior, and how do you apply those insights into platform improvements or optimization? Okay. Kim, you go first, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, can you tell about your upcoming biggest future?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
What's your upcoming biggest future?
Our upcoming best feature? Our most upcoming feature right now is the perps application, I would say, and those have a bunch of optimizations and improvements built into that. So for example, there is the dynamic optimizations, which introduced the concept of like repegging and depth shifts to the perps AMM pools. Yeah, that's like first, like at the forefront of my mind right now when you asked about best feature. But yeah, Unique, is there anything else that you want to add?
I think that's kind of the main one for now.
Alrighty. I say Enoch. Is that Enoch? Is requesting to speak. So let's try you. Yeah, it seems it takes some time to get connected. So I would say in the meantime, there's a question, I guess, for Unique. Well, previously mentioned. Okay, now you're connected. Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear
Ask
me?
your question. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Yep.
Okay. Now, my question is simple. In a bear market situation like today, where many projects are forced not to go according to the roadmap that has been planned. So I wanted to know, what is your basic strength? Because I check into the inbuilt ecosystem and I see that yeah, you're doing really great stuff and all that, your tokenomics and all that. So I want to know what's your basic strength for the community to be, interested that this project can achieve the planned goals. There's one thing to set up a plan and there's another thing to achieve it. So I want to know some of the basic interest, the strength for the community to be interested in order for the set goals of the project to be actualized. I hope you get my question.
Yeah, I think part of that even started with the ITN of just outlining, a path forward up to leading up to mainnet and just showing that we're going to consistently execute on it. And um, with how it's looking now, I mean, the summer timeline for launch still looks good. So I think we're doing a good job so far.
Yeah, I'd say our basic strength is being able to stay up all night and code. That is that is a core strength, I would say. Especially Unique. He's pulled more all-nighters than any of us have. Yeah, he's been everywhere around the stack, just helping out with front end, with smart contracts, with infra, with data. He also writes a lot of the marketing material that's on the blog. Yeah, I say our technical strengths are very strong. We have very strong foundations from the Cosmos ecosystem. We have the former director of engineering from Tendermint on our team. We have a quantitative trader, Matthias, on our team. We have really strong operations team. We did a penetration test with Salis earlier, and they deemed us as a low risk project on the infrastructure front. So our infra is very solid. Yeah, as for our roadmap and execution, to tell you a bit more about how we operate, every Monday we have a weekly sprint planning meeting. So we spend like an hour talking about our short-term goals for that week and the long-term goals for the next 6 months. So that's an hour with me and three other engineers. We then have daily stand-ups for 15 minutes to ensure that we're hitting those targets. And on the Friday we have our no meeting day where we just do everything, or we just code like mad beasts. We do that for backend, we do that for front end, we do that for DevOps, we do that for our data team too. Yeah, we have some really cool stuff happening on our data side as well. Happy to talk more about that in another AMA. But yeah, hopefully that tells you a bit more about our workflows. Right now, we have a team of 11 engineers that's split between, we have 4 backend, like smart contract, we have 3 DevOps, we have 2 front end, and we have 2 data engineers. And we're looking to grow as well. We're doing a Series A funding this year, and with that capital, we'll be able to grow our team even more. Really, the onus is on us to just become better at managing and leading, but we're already doing a great job at that, I think. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to know more about how we execute?
Oh, I think he's already off stage.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we're at a 1 hour mark. We're gonna take last 2 questions. And then we're gonna wrap it up. Next one, let's invite Mooner. All right, connecting. And Mooner, let us know when you are connected and just unmute and speak. There you go. We can, yes.
Yeah, my question is about do you have any tutorials or blogs for different kind of features that you adapted in a platform?
Yeah, we have a few. So there's the one on the ITN2 went through not developing smart contracts, but just interacting with existing ones. And then we have a couple well, the README of most repos have one, but specifically our Python and JavaScript SDK. But we definitely like now that we've like kind of reached like finishing a lot of the core logic for with the start of the audit for Zelic and then also with the Salus security, the goal will probably put a lot more tutorials for like, creating wallet, actually developing smart contracts, things like that. Because so we're planning to extend both the front end and the docs a lot over the next like month and a half. So we do have some tutorials, a lot on our blog and docs, but we're going to add probably a lot more pretty soon.
All right. Well, last one goes to, let's say, Crowned Dave. Web3 Things. There you go. All right, Dave. When you're connected, ask away your questions.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Well, it's been a while I've been following up Nibiru. I think since last year or in last year January or so. So well, I tried setting up your nodes, but it was kind of difficult. There were several times I reached out in the Discord, asked for help, but nobody really answered me. And to say the truth, I wasn't really happy. So I had to fall back and stop whatever I was doing. So I don't know, is there a video tutorial that could guide setting up a Nibiru node? And are there documents that guide for your testnet phase 3? I think those are my two questions. Then my last, no, I have one more question. One more question is that I can see that Nibiru has come a long way. So what are ways newbies or new users can opt in currently? Thank you.
All right, thank you. So questions about tutorials and how can we provide easy access for newbies and for newbies. All right. Unique, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I can answer on the tutorial front. We do have videos on how to set up phone nodes, as well as price feeders and how to interact with our web application. They're recorded on Loom, but we can put them over to YouTube, our YouTube channel, if that makes it easier. We should probably do that. As for onboarding new users, we're going to be starting the ITN phase 3 following our audit with Zelic, and that will be a fresh new chain. So we'll start again from Genesis, block 1, and that users can go onto that one and start trading with our applications, and that will accrue testnet rewards. So right now it's still not too late to go back and do the ITN 1 and ITN 2 tasks, but very soon that ITN will be turned down, and we'll start a new chain. Basically, it'll be ITN 3 chain, and that will be for ITNs 3 and 4. So that would be it. But yeah, for the documentation side, yeah, I'll take a look at it over the weekend and maybe clear up some inconsistencies or do like a gloss over, because we do have a new binary dropping very soon. Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's also off stage, but that does give us a sum up.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, so still so many people are requesting to speak. I think let's take one more, maybe. So the next one would be Monibong Ether. You're up.
Hey guys, good morning. Thanks for hosting the AMA. Been a community member for a while. Really just want to say hi. But my question is, why do you guys stay up late at night to code? Is that just more productive time for you guys? Thank you.
Can you repeat your question?
I didn't catch the last part. I heard, why do you guys stay up? And then I couldn't hear after that.
Oh yeah, I was just asking. Just curious why you stay up late at night to code. If that's just a more productive time for you guys, and what do you do during the daytime then? Thank you.
Oh, that's true. It's actually, I think that, so sometimes there's like meetings in like society, and at night there's just like the lo-fi girl and the keyboard. So sometimes like night's pretty productive instead of the day when everybody's awake.
I spend more time with that lo-fi girl than my girlfriend. So it's just nice having like being able to turn off your phone, like airplane mode, and just code. It's like some of the most productive hours because there are meetings. We do talk to a lot of partners, investors. I mentioned we're doing Series A this year, so there's those kinds of meetings that are usually during the day. We sync with other engineers during the day. We have meetings. Talk to partners, KYC providers. We talk to market makers. We talk to liquidity providers. We talk to ecosystem partners during the day. So at night and on weekends is our preferred time to code.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you as well. All right. We're still down to last couple of speakers, so let's just try to tackle them all, I think. And yeah, we're just super excited to see all of you showing interest in asking the questions. We haven't seen that traction before. So I think the team feels like staying a little bit longer and just to answer as many questions as possible. And the next one would be crypto money. You're connecting. I see you're connecting. So let us know. And in the meantime, if you would just, paste your questions under the comment section, that would help us as well. Crypto money, you are up. You have to unmute your mic first and then speak. Can you unmute your mic? All right, maybe not him. We'll try another one. We'll try Braden. All right, Braden, you can now speak.
Hey everyone. Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
So my question is starting with the leverage derivatives trading. How does Nibiru chain enable user to take leverage exposure and trade on assets in a completely on-chain, non-custodial, and gas-efficient manner through the Nibiru purpose application? What risk management measures are in place to handle margin requirements, prevent excessive liquidation, and ensure a fair and efficient trading environment?
Sure. So for the first part of that, it's AMM based for the price discovery. So how that kind of works, for those that are unfamiliar, is similar to Drift protocol on Solana and Perpetual protocol. What you basically have is that when you open a position or submit a market order, it's like the equivalent lingo. What you're essentially doing is there's an AMM pool with representative reserves. They're not actually, it's not your assets that are actually in the pool, but rather when you make a trade, you use that pricing curve to see what size or how many perpetual contracts are you purchasing. And so when you come in, it's beyond that difference in terms of like how you price the position. It functions the same as any other exchange. So you have a margin ratio based on how much input collateral you have. There's a maximum amount of leverage, which is like, let's say if you opened at 10x, like a higher leverage position, if your position fell in value such that your your leverage was like 16x, that would mean you're at the border for like a liquidation. And so you would either need to have deleveraged before then, or a liquidator would call to either partially or fully liquidate the position. So that's like that's for like the first part of the question on how do you price it? How does the margin ratio work? And then of course we go into more detail on the NIBI perp section of the docs on there too. I forget, what was
Thank
the
you.
second part?
Yeah. Continue, please.
I forgot there was a second. You asked two questions. What was the second one?
My second question. Should I repeat my second question? My second question was what risk management measures are in place to handle margin requirement, prevent excessive liquidations, and ensure a fair and efficient trading environment?
Oh, I guess for the liquidations can't really be excessive. There's like an exact cutoff. Like if you were even $1 above the cutoff, you would not have any risk of getting liquidated there. But something that does help is there's a factor called partial liquidations, where if you're not all the way like underwater, so to speak, but you're getting pretty close, and someone calls liquidate, it will deleverage you slightly, so to try to like protect you a little bit. Like the liquidator's call will do so. So that will increase your margin ratio. And that's also something that like if you with the fully automatic liquidator, it should make it even easier, like a little bit less risky for the user as well there.
Thank you for your detailed explanation. It has provided me with a deeper understanding of Niburu chain and its feature. Thanks again.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thanks
Braden.
for asking.
We have three speakers left: Nancy, Dave, and Lil Tater Sprout. So let's try Lil Tater Sprout. You're next. Go ahead. Unmute your mic.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Hello?
Yep. Hello.
Guys, I got scammed in the Discord. I got scammed out of like 8 Satoshis by this one guy, and my girlfriend left me. And I know that's not your problem. But I just wanted to know what you guys were gonna do about the scammers. Maybe I'm not sure. I just really wanted to get some nib coin, and some of the validators keep bullying me in the DMs, and I was just wondering what you guys were gonna do to fix that.
I can take a first shot in that. I think other people will chip in as well. So first of all, the good news is we do have a couple scam groups, right? And we are being actively reporting them to Discord, and one of them has been taken down recently. So hopefully, people will stay away from that. We're actually also actively monitoring on social media. So we use social listening tool to track people's feedback and comments. And this tool will provide us with basically sentiments and we pay special attention to the negative ones, not just like about scams, but anything related to Nibiru about user feedback. So we try to reply to users and provide them with the right and correct information as soon as we can. So I'm really sorry that it happened to you. I hope it will not happen to somebody else in the future. And we'll also release a couple announcements on social, just alerting people of the scams and fake people and groups that do exist. So please be careful of the scammers and take into heart that we will never ask for your money when you join our group. We'll never ask to verify your to pay us assets when you're trying to verify your identity. So that'll be my take. Maybe other team member Kevin wants to say something as well.
Yeah, I reached out to Discord support and they took down all of the scam groups that we're aware of for Nibiru. But yeah, what Jesse said is right. We'll never ask for your money. We'll never ask for you to send us funds. Yeah, sorry that happened to you, man. That really sucks. And sorry about the girlfriend too.
All right. I hope that answers your question. Again, we're really, really sorry that happened to you. So Nancy and Dave, you both already asked one question. But yeah, we're gonna go to you as well, so that I think we'll be able to wrap this up. Nancy, you're up. Nancy, you gotta unmute.
Hello. My another question is does your project support stacking programs? If yes, how does your stacking system work? What are the requirements for user if they want to stack? Do you have a token burning plan to increase token value and attract investor to invest? This is my question.
All right. So questions on staking. So Nancy's question is about our plans on staking and also token burn. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have it's just the standard delegated proof of stake that comes with Tendermint that many of the chains have throughout the Cosmos ecosystem. So, so it's just like the Cosmos Hub. Differentiating factor though, we do have a different inflation module. So like it replaces the token emissions that basically matches what's outlined in the tokenomics section of our docs. Beyond that, your other question about what are the requirements, you just need a wallet. You don't have to run a node or anything to stake. You just need Nibi and then either in our UI or in another one that is connected to our chain's RPC. You would send a delegate transaction or stake. Oh, and then the burn mechanism. So we don't have any automated burn mechanism right now, but I think Jonathan mentioned this. But yeah, I mean that's something we're open to exploring in the future. Of course, it's like we'll see with like the on-chain community proposals. But as of right now, there's no automatic burn mechanism.
Yep, that's right. Okay, folks, we're well beyond 1 hour mark. Thanks all for your participation. Let's just do one last question and then we're finishing this. So Dave, you're the last one. Go ahead, Dave. Dave, you gotta unmute.
Yeah, sorry. Well, thank you again. I wanted to speak to Kevin rather. I don't know. You talked about the fact that you were going to put together those videos and the rest. I don't know. Could you please state it on your page when you are done with all these guides. So one can just go there and pick anything rather than you have to start going about looking for it again. Because I think if you write probably a Medium post, a post on Medium that contains details of all these things, whether for validator or for testnet, for both phase 1 and phase 2, and they are all together in a single place, I think it will help users know how to position themselves and navigate through your, and you include all those things, because scavenging for information, I don't think that's really okay. Because if not for a space like this that you're holding today, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn about some of these things. It was really, really difficult. I had to read several pages on your website just to have an idea of what it is like, or in what way I can position. So, but I think if you write a thread specifically stating, okay, this is a link that leads to a YouTube video how to set up a validator node. This is a link on how to participate in C1 or some testnet phase 1, testnet phase 2, testnet phase 3. Since you said it's about to close, I'm sure there are several listeners here who would want to partake in the first phase, second phase, and this third phase you're about to launch. So I think if it can be done probably on time before it closes, and pasted the link shared or the announcement made on your Twitter page, I think it will bring in more users so people can know how to position themselves. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thanks. That's good feedback. How about this? I'll move all of our Loom videos to YouTube. We'll post on Twitter when that's done, and then we'll include links to those videos on our Docs website. And then I will make a Twitter thread on specifically which videos to look at if you're a validator, and which videos to look at if you're a testnet user. So those two positions.
And I guess we could put one page together. So anything that's like a tutorial, like have a specific link. Whether I guess that could just be a section of the doc that has all the guides in one place. That might be easy. That way you don't have to look for them.
All right, everyone. This is the end of this episode. We really appreciate the time spent with you. We enjoyed the conversation. So until next time, see you then. Thank you again. Bye, everyone. Okay, I think we can start, and in the meantime, more people will join us as we go. So, hello everyone, welcome to our Twitter space. Today is a special day because we're officially kicking off the Nibiru Hackathon, co-hosted by DaraHacks. In this AMA, we will cover what is the Nibiru Hackathon, how and why you should participate, the tracks, and the prize. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the speakers. You have Unique, our co-founder, and Brian, our guest from DaraHacks and also co-host for this AMA. Brian, would you like to introduce a bit about yourself and DaraHacks?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Very excited to be here. This is a very exciting hackathon for our developer community. If you're not aware, it's called InnovateX, the Nibiru Hackathon. It's going to be one of the top Cosmos SDK hackathons of the year, I would imagine. The prize pool is very, very generous, of up to $150,000 for the spread over like first, second, and third place. So it's a very exciting opportunity for developers that have good ideas that haven't had a chance to participate in one of our previous Cosmos hackathons. Now's your time to shine. So definitely super excited to be hosting it with Nibiru and having the chance to join this Twitter AMA. A little bit about myself. I'm on the DoorHacks business development and venture team. So I'm involved heavily in hackathon operations, the launch of new hackathons, and of course, the review of the top projects that are submitted to DoorHacks hackathons, as we have additional resources, financial, incubational, et cetera, that we can typically provide the best projects in our platform for continuation funding, and just more work ideas essentially. So yeah, happy to be here. DoorHacks is very excited to be able to form a close partnership with Nibiru Chain for this hackathon, and we're excited to kick it off.
Thank you so much, Brian. We're equally excited to have you here and working in joint efforts with DoorHacks. So before I let you take over, I would just like to remind everybody that if at any point during the AMA you want to ask a question, please feel free to do so by raising your hand so you can join us on stage, or simply leave your question in the comments. So with that being said, Brian, are you ready to take over the floor?
Yeah, happy to. All right, so now that I'm hosting, I guess I'll ask some questions and put my fellow hosts from Nibiru on the spot a bit, if that's okay. But as I said, we're very excited to be hosting this hackathon with Nibiru. It's a very unique opportunity. But before we dive more into the hackathon, I think it would be great if Nibiru team is able to just share a little bit about some of the more basic questions for our developers in our community that may not be as familiar with your ecosystem. So I'd love to start just with what is Nibiru Chain?
Yeah, so Tendermint IBC Chain, like you've touched on, supporting permissionless cosmosm and a core application set that includes a perps exchange, spot exchange, and Oracle network. And the first application to launch would be the perps exchange, coming with our at the same time as our mainnet. So the kind of main idea here with Nibiru is to remove a lot of the complexity from having too many tokens and kind of give a similar UX to what you have when you're operating on a centralized exchange, where you have, margin trading, spot, futures, everything like that, all in one interface. And it's not exclusive to DeFi, the chain, but we do make a lot of things such that it's easier to, you want to wire a lot of DeFi apps in with the core application set that the initial team makes. And another key thing there is that we're trying to align the incentives between like stakers or validators and traders from day one. So, for example, this Oracle network, validators post prices for the Oracle, right? I can dig into that more in a moment, but the main idea is that they earn fees from, alongside the exchange when people trade. And so you get that on top of your normal staking rewards that you would normally get in gas fees and minted rewards, except it's in stable coins, right? So you don't have to sell off the token to cover your validator costs. You actually want to get more of the NIBI so you can stake more and earn more trading fees. So there's a little bit of healthy feedback loop there. So yeah, the idea is to compose these base primitives that the core team is making and eventually extend them with a useful feature set for things like yield farming and other ways of automated investing.
Got it. I think that makes a lot of sense. And just to clarify, the approach of Nibiru Chain is, while you are permissionless cosmosm, you are going to be launching with a set of proof of concept in-house incubated Nibiru products as well, like your perps exchange.
Exactly. It's the example I find that's the closest, or that comes up a lot in calls, is people say it's kind of like in Terra's case, where they had like Mirror and two other, I can't remember the names, but yeah, the same idea there.
Got it. That's awesome. Kind of dovetailing off of that, I would love to ask a little bit more about just Nibiru's roadmap in general. You explained a little bit about your technology stack and what you're trying to do, but in terms of like your immediate roadmap, is there anything upcoming that you're especially excited for in terms of your chain's development?
Yeah, for sure. So when we came out of stealth, we started with incentivized testnet a few months ago, and that's broken up into 4 parts. We're currently on the 3rd one right now, which people can still participate in. And this acted as like a way to involve community members to earn rewards, but also as a sort of public beta. So over the past month, we've went through 2 kinds of audits, one for pen testing for infra and the other covering all of our like production smart contracts and the perps. And so the major thing upcoming is that fourth phase of the incentivized testnet, which is a trading competition before the final push to mainnet. And yeah, so that'll start sometime throughout the time span of the hackathon, actually. And then next after that is just the mainnet launch. I don't know if we'll do one or more than one competition, but that's the most immediate thing. Then from there, it's just, releasing a sequence of upgrades to things like our pricing algorithm on the perps. It's a pretty big one to run liquidations entirely in protocol, so they don't require external transactions. And then, of course, hopefully rolling out yield vaults. So yeah.
Nice. Speaking of mainnet launch, is there any estimate to when that is?
I think, in terms of code readiness, it's looking like this summer, but I don't have an exact date for you. Yeah.
No, that's good enough. Just people are going to get excited, so I'm glad they have they can look forward to something this summer at least, which is awesome. So yeah, obviously you're hosting this hackathon with Dora Hacks, but I'm sure our community and then your community in general would also love to hear if you have any other community or developer initiatives planned outside of this first hackathon with Dora Hacks and what they can do to learn more and get involved.
Yeah, so we have the hackathon. We also have a grants program with the applications open now. That's accessible from like our blog or probably not too hard to find from our website. And then, anything else people are interested in, I guess they can directly email growth@nibiru.org or just hit us up in the Discord. Yeah, we're pretty easy to reach.
Cool. Before I shift over to the hackathon part of the AMA and start sharing some details about that, I'd love just to give you an opportunity to share anything else about Nibiru Chain. If there's any question I haven't asked or anything that you definitely want to mention to your community and ours, love just to give you the floor if there's anything we haven't touched on yet.
Yeah, I think that mostly covers it in terms of the high level. I'll see if people have questions. Yeah, after.
Okay, excellent. Okay, cool. So we'll pivot a little bit more towards the purpose for this Twitter space, obviously, which is announcing the Nibiru Hackathon kickoff, which is today. The submission portal has opened on dorahacks.io. If you're interested in participating, you can find all of the relevant information there. We're also going to be having the official opening ceremony for this hackathon early next week on Monday. And during that session is where we'll go into even further detail about the hackathon, further logistics about the hackathon, as well as share the method of which to submit, make sure everyone's familiar with using the platform. So that's very exciting. So make sure that's on your radar as well. But in terms of just getting a high level overview of the hackathon for all of the interested developers and participants who've joined us on the Twitter space here today, I'd love to just ask you in general, what's your vision for the hackathon? And what's like the main thing you're looking to get out of it?
Yeah, so it's our first ever hackathon, and we have a super strong technical team, but of course there's only so much you can focus on, right? Can't do it all. So one common question or particular challenge faced by a lot of independent developers, especially in the bear market, is like where companies are restricting spending on things like grants and hackathons is how to find funding. So I guess we're just excited to engage builders in the broader Web3 community and see what comes of it. So that can be what we get out of it can be anything, any appropriate, application of ingenuity, right? So that can be something quick and dirty. It can also be something people spend a bunch of time and meticulous effort on. But yeah, I guess we don't have to, we're not looking for something in particular, just kind of want to let people be creative and see what they want to build.
Yeah, I think that's the right approach. Would you say that there's like a specific theme of the hackathon that developers should know about?
I guess early on, a lot of the natural stuff to build is DeFi related, but of course it's not restricted to that. So like on our tracks page, they're really more like suggested tracks, right? So it's a lot of things that are, extensions to the current ones. It can be like IBC routers for integrations with other chains like Osmosis, um, extensions to like the front end, but I mean, it can be like NFT related LSDs, things like that. So I would imagine people would mostly do a lot of DeFi stuff, but really anything is encouraged.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And speaking of tracks, I think now would be a good time to just share them in general. Is that something that you want to be able to tell the audience here? Like, what are the tracks and what are some of the ideas?
Yeah. So the first one we had was expansion of existing products. So this is we'll connect to a couple bridges. So we put like working on enhancements to that bridge UI or the actual connectors to different wallets, creation of things that operate like in ERC-4626 vault. So that's like when you basically it almost feels like a liquidity pool where you get like shares of it. If you're familiar with like Sommelier or Yearn, that it's kind of like that. So people could make things like that that are, delta neutral perp positions or use other protocols, or just provide like a tool for atomic swaps. So we gave some examples there. The second one was like data analytics and user dashboards. So that can just be like visualizations or anything that's more like front end heavy, right? Then community and UX, this can be things for like helping with like Telegram and Discord bots, monitoring wallets of like whales or other positions, and just like maybe pushing updates into a chat. Like if you had one for if a large position was going to get liquidated and move the price a certain way, something like that would be like not too crazy to build. And then the fourth category is just new products and dApps entirely. And that would be where, people make new marketplaces. That could be like options, lending and borrowing, LSDs, things like that. And then, of course, like the flex category, which is just build whatever you want if we didn't cover it in the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And just expanding upon that a little bit more as well, I'd love to hear about the prize pool distribution. As I'm sure developers would be interested to know, what type of rewards they can be looking forward to if they submit some of the most compelling projects.
Yeah. So we have it broken into 3 tiers, where one is like the bottom one is ranged from 1 to 5K, the second one 5 to 10, and then the top 10 to 50. And then how that kind of works is there's a minimum of 12 winners where you have like a guaranteed first, second, and then 10 thirds. And the reason we kind of left it open on the upper end is like if people really impress us, we wanted to still have like rewards allocated to include them and have them at a higher price too. So yeah, so there can be like multiple firsts if people are that good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then in terms of just the key dates in general, right? This hackathon has kicked off today. It will be ongoing for, just over maybe close to 2 months actually. So I'd love to hear like what are the key dates of this hackathon that developers and community members should keep in mind.
Yeah, so we're planning to do like weekly or bi-weekly office hours depending on people's interest. So the kind of key dates are just like you mentioned, it runs about 2 months, and then at the midpoint of August roughly, that's when judging would start. And so that, I mean, we didn't select the people exactly yet, but that's probably a mixture of like some of our core engineers, like VCs, and then builders from other projects for the judging panel. And then we also want to do the community voting round after. So to kind of summarize in order, it's we have workshops and office hours running over the course of the main 2 months. Then there's judging at the midpoint of August, where people will submit demos. Then that by the end of August is like the first thing for the hackathon, and then I'll have to figure out how we do the quadratic funding part for the community. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you mentioned that because that's something very exciting that the community should be excited for as well. I think it's great to always include that at the end of a hackathon. Not every hackathon has it. but the ones that do have it are definitely very impactful because it provides a way for the top projects to receive like additional continuation funding, as well as involve the community itself and make their voice heard in terms of what projects they want to see built on the community that they're a part of. So just to briefly recap a community funding round, if anyone listening in is unfamiliar, given that Nibiru chain is a permissionless cosmosm blockchain, DoraHacks can actually build out a quadratic funding smart contract towards the end of the hackathon. And basically all of the winners of the hackathon, as well as probably if there's a lot of really good submissions and there's a lot of quality submissions, and not every submission is able to win a prize for the hackathon, there'll still be a chance to receive community funding at the end, where you'll be invited to join a quadratic funding round. Quadratic funding round is where the Nibiru community, the Nibi token holder community, will be able to vote on which projects they want to see receive continuation funding from this quadratic matching pool. And then the funds from the matching pool will be quadratically matched to all of the top projects, or all the winning projects, I should say, from that voting round, which is a fair way of distributing matching pool funds. It's kind of mathy and algorithmic, but essentially it gives even smaller token holders and smaller votes a larger, more amplified voice due to the way the matching is assigned. So this is very, very unique. And I think that Nibiru will be one of the very first Cosmos chains to implement this. So definitely something to be extra excited about for this hackathon, and something that I'm sure you'll hear more about as time goes on. I know you mentioned a little bit about the judging panel as well. That's still a little bit in flux, which is okay. As judges are added to the panel, we'll be sure to announce them. And you also mentioned a little bit about office hours, which I think are great. I did want to ask one question from the community, which is in terms of like some virtual workshops. I know for now, like they're on demand, but I think if you could share your intention of like hosting some technical workshops, maybe to introduce your tech stack to the community of developers, as well as educational, other resourceful workshops, if you have any of those planned, or if they're not planned yet, but you are going to plan them in the future, like how's the best way for the community to be aware of these announcements?
Yeah, I think some natural ones are, it would be good to do one that's for like setting up and using IBC at a technical level. I think it would be good to have a workshop on just general cosmosm development, and then also one that is more maybe as a next step that showcases how you can use an external set of contracts to interface with like Nibiru specific bindings. So for example, there are some for you can like maintain and open a control a position through a contract, right? And so what that lets you do is basically have a group of people have a large trading position together as one collective body. So just walking through the developer flow for that, I think could be really instructive. And I guess also we could do one on just like Cosmos SDK development as well directly. But those are probably like those would be like the first few, and then we'll have to see what people are most interested in. It also depends what the project submissions are on. If a lot of people are mostly focused on like front end stuff, then we'll just mostly focus on that for the workshops too.
Great. And then what's the best way for like people to stay aware of these announcements and just updates to the hackathon in general? Obviously, all of the detail will end up on the DoraHacks platform, and you can find it all there. But as things are getting scheduled, are there any other channels that developers can access and be a part of to stay on top of the most recent announcements?
Yep. So I see in one of the replies to this chat, there are links to one of them is to the Telegram chat specifically for the hackathon. So then that'll be like the first news fresh off the press.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think I have a couple more questions for you, Unique, but if you have any questions for me, or if anyone from the audience has any questions for me, I'd love to give you a quick opportunity to as well. There's no pressure, of course, but if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask away.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear more about the. I heard recently in like I think it was a short, Dorhex talking about the public good staking. So, if
Sure.
I'd like to learn more about it.
Yeah, happy to share about public good staking, and definitely an initiative we'll be looking to bring to Nibiru chain as well. It's something that will help reward their committed developers. So, public good staking is a way to provide everlasting funding for developers. Obviously, depending on like external macro conditions, things outside of our control as hackers, sometimes funding can dry up for new ideas, or just community initiatives and hackathons aren't happening as frequently, or grants aren't as readily available. And we personally think that developer incentives are the lifeblood of any ecosystem. And that's not to say that all developers are mercenary and the only way to keep them and the only moat is by spending money to retain them. That's not what I mean at all. What I mean is developer incentives is more holistic than just financial aid, right? It basically means having a very committed developer community. It means providing them with resources and support in all facets. It means having a robust ecosystem where whoever's leading the ecosystem, whether it be a foundation or a DAO, et cetera, is able to work very closely with their developers, share ideas and intentions very carefully, and really solve problems. Hacking is all about having to solve a problem once, and once it's been solved, you should be excited about that, and you should continue to innovate upon it and solve additional problems. As it pertains to whatever ecosystem you're a developer on. So I think just having developer incentives permanently is quite important to make sure that like hacking can be ongoing and forever lasting. So basically, the reason I preface this is as a permissionless hackathon platform, an infrastructure provider, and grant facilitator at Dora Hacks, right? Like our goal is to provide developers with as many incentives as possible to at least get started at joining the ecosystem and get started building, and provide them with some funding to basically begin growing their ideas. But the funding obviously has to come from somewhere, which is why I mentioned like having poor macro conditions can sometimes dry up the amount of funding available for new ideas. So basically what Dora Hacks has done specifically within proof of stake networks is spin up not-for-profit validator nodes where we actually dedicate the yield generated from these validators to supporting the developer community. So obviously, not only does joining a network as a validator help to decentralize it, but if instead of taking a commission to ourselves or running auto compounding scripts to maintain, high, like the greatest voting power, etc., if we instead just run a validator and distribute the rewards directly to the developers of that ecosystem in the form of grants, in the form of hackathon prize pools, in the form of quadratic funding pools, bounty rewards, public goods funding, etc., we can really help support ecosystems from the ground up, and provide an everlasting source of funding. Because as long as the network is alive and our validator is live, we're going to be earning rewards in perpetuity. So it's an everlasting stream of incentives for developers and a way for them to basically be able to take the risk in hacking and developing new ideas. So that's kind of what public goods staking is all about. PGS is what we call it. This is a program we're growing throughout Cosmos right now. We're live on about 25 different chains. And we think it's been quite successful thus far, and we're excited to be working with Nibiru on this initiative as well, and excited to be bringing it to the developer community here. Basically, that way we can provide everlasting funding even beyond the hackathon itself. for the top developers in the Nibiru ecosystem. So yeah, thanks Unique for asking that question. Definitely something we're super excited about at DoraHacks and think will make a huge impact at Nibiru Chain to your developer ecosystem as well.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I think that I'd like to ask a few more questions about the hackathon itself, which is kind of related to like what is the inspiration for InnovateX and like the design of it. I'm just interested. Like you've provided a very gorgeous like purple banner. Is there any story behind the name, behind the design, and kind of like overall like the vibe of the hackathon? Sometimes that's kind of an important thing to be aware of.
Yeah. So the name, just thought it sounded cool. There's no reason, but the the banner, we have this initiative called Skybound. That's like a broader thing in the community, and so we're actually getting some art commissioned for that, and that's basically like part of it is like the like institutional liquidity program, but also includes like we already started like an ambassador program and other things like that. So eventually we'll also have like referrals and affiliates, and that's all part of this Skybound piece, which essentially we're kind of like defining the lore for the ecosystem of like how each component connects in a symbolic sense. So that's where the banner is coming from.
That's awesome. I love that. I also know that, like as you mentioned, the judging panel will be announced shortly. But in terms of the judging criteria, is there anything that hackers should be aware of? You shared the track list, the prize pool, but in terms of just criteria itself, maybe there's some information you could provide there on like what are some of the key things they should be focused on when designing their projects.
Yeah. So we didn't want it to be a factor of like it doesn't so much matter who you are or your experience, but rather just like the output you're producing. So basically we're just looking at kind of the standard things like is the code written well? Does it work right? And then what's the impact like to the ecosystem? Or is it like pretty creative, right? Like if something doesn't necessarily need to be original, even if someone were to say like, you know, implement a simple lending and borrowing, but it's like done well, I would imagine that would score pretty high. But yeah, factoring in difficulty, quality, how useful it is, and then like originality.
Awesome. And then finally, are there any entry requirements that developers should be aware of?
I believe we're allowed to have anyone participate. We just have to verify identity at the end. So yeah, because like if it's, for example, like US developers, I believe we have to give stablecoin instead of NIBI. But yeah, right now there are no major requirements. You just register through the normal, DoraHacks like registration flow. So
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that clarity. Yeah, so that's about like the majority of my questions about the hackathon. I think you shared a lot about Nibiru chain as well. I'd like to remind everyone that this hackathon officially kicked off today. So please, if you're already familiar with DoraHacks and you know the deal, nothing should stop you from getting started on your project. If you want to wait for a little additional information, as I mentioned, we'll be having the opening ceremony on Monday, which will go even further in depth on the platform. This hackathon is going to last for 60 days. It's going to go all the way through August 16th. So you've got plenty of time to, think of an idea and submit a project. I should also mention in terms of finding teams, in our experience at DoraHacks, a lot of online hackathons, hackers already have teams. But if you don't have a team, please feel free to connect with the DoraHacks team and the Nibiru team. You can find teams in our Discord. I'm sure also in the Nibiru Hackathon Telegram that Unique mentioned will be a great place to form teams as well. And that would be something that I wanted to point out. But with that being said, I think that unless there's any questions from the audience, do you have any other questions for me, Unique?
Not at the moment.
Okay. So if anyone in the audience has any questions, definitely feel free to ask now. Or if you just rather ping me directly, you can at Brian Dora. That works too. But maybe I'll just give the audience a couple seconds here in case there's anyone that wants to raise their hand and ask a question.
Yeah, so everyone, just a kind reminder that I saw some newcomers here. So if you missed the first half of this AMA, you can still find the full information on the hackathon in the links posted under the comment section. So feel free to go check out our official page on DaraHacks. And then if you need to find a team, you want to stay in touch for the events and upcoming news, please join our Telegram chat, which link is also in the comment section. If you have any questions, feel free to just request to speak, raise your hand, and we can put you on stage. So I guess that's a no. Okay, everybody. And thank you, Brian, for hosting this amazing session. It's really informative. I think we have a lot of stuff covered, and lots of information. We'll be putting out the announcement of the opening ceremony later today. So that will be happening next Monday at 12:30 EDT time. So that's the East Coast New York time. It will be live on YouTube. So feel free to go there. And in fact, we really strongly encourage you to, if you are interested in participating in our hackathon. It will be more detailed than today's session, and Brian will walk you through how to apply, how to build. Really excited about that. So without being said, Brian, do you have anything more to add?
No, I think that's about it. I'd like to thank both you and Unique for being up here on stage with me, as well as the audience who joined us on this Twitter Space AMA. I'd like to once again reiterate how absolutely thrilled we are to be hosting this hackathon with Nibiru. We definitely think it's one of the best opportunities for developers of the year that haven't participated in a Cosmos hackathon yet, or if you have, but think that your project could potentially discover new additional verticals or have extra integrations that really are synergistic with Nibiru's ecosystem. Love to have you apply to this one as well. But just would like to express my gratitude for being invited to this Twitter space and having the opportunity to host InnovateX. Thank you all so much.
Likewise, really appreciate you being here, and we enjoy the conversation with you. I think I can speak that on behalf of everyone. So thank you, Brian.
Of course.
Okay, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Yeah, thanks for the heart emoji. So don't forget the opening ceremony on Monday. We will hopefully see you there. So bye, everyone. See you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.